Good morning, all my dear aspirants. Welcome to Sindhuja's daily news analysis session. So, yesterday's session was not there because yesterday there was no editorial session in Hindu newspaper, so we didn't have a session on that. So, today there are two important articles in Hindu editorial. First, I would like to share my opinion and views on the topic regarding India's role in becoming a technology leader. Okay. So, see, when we talk about India's technological development, though we have technologists all around the world, India is not a major player in technology. But India has the ability to occupy the topmost position in global technology ladder once it identifies its shortcomings and try to rectify it as soon as possible. So here the article reflects the India's failures linked with its inability to make use of the market-driven opportunities. Now, when it comes to the country's commitment to planning and public sector, even after the 1991 reforms, the talented people left the country to US and all. Indeed, when we look the analytics, as of 2019, there were 2.7 million Indian immigrants in the US. But we have to know that they are among the top most educated and professionally accomplished hands of the country. Now, when we talk about US, no doubt the US is a country of fabled opportunities. The researchers like Mariana Mazzucato's research shows that the state has been crucial to the introduction of the new generation of technologies, including the computers, internet and nano industry. Public sector funding developed the algorithm that led to the Google's success and helped discover the molecular antibodies that provided the foundation for biotechnology. So when these successful episodes happened, the governmental agencies were proactive in identifying and supporting the more uncertain phases of the research, which a risk-averse private sector would not have entered into. So the role of the government has been very important in shaping the economic growth of countries like China, which is having a head-on competition with US for supremacy in such technologies. Now, when we mentioned about China's development, China was known for its low-wage manufacturing. Even while people proclaimed China as the factory of the world, China had been stuck at the low-value adding segments of the global production networks, which enabled them to earn only a fraction of the price of goods compared to those they manufactured. Now, as a part of 2011 government plan, it has made successful forays into new strategic industries such as alternative fuel cars and renewable energy. Pondering more on the Chinese experience, China's achievements came not because it was capitalist, but they combined the strengths of public sector, markets and globalization. Now, you might have heard about SOEs of China, that is China's state-owned enterprises. They were inefficient and bureaucratic. But rather than privatizing them or letting them weaken with neglect, the Chinese state tried to restructure these SOEs. On the one hand, the state retreated from light manufacturing and export-oriented sectors, leaving those fields open for the private sector. But on the other hand, they made it a point that SOEs strengthened their presence in strategically important sectors such as petrochemicals and telecommunication, as well as in technologically dynamic industries such as electronics and machinery. Now, moving on to India's effort. India inaugurated the planning and industrialization in the early 1950s. Now, it was possible because of such initiatives in the developing world. Public sector funding of the latest technologies of the time, including space and atomic research, and the establishment of IITs, that is Indian Institutes of Technologies, were the trademarks of that effort. Now, the growth of IT and pharmaceutical industries has begun fastest in Bengaluru and Hyderabad, but when we analyze the roadblocks to progress, there has been many, including India's poor achievements in school education, etc. So, in 1991, when India embraced markets and globalization, it should have redoubled its efforts to strengthen its technological capabilities also. When we analyze the rates, instead the spending on research and development as a proportion of GDP declined in India from 0.85% in 1990 to 91 to 0.65% in 2018. Now, over the years, this proportion increased in China and South Korea to reach 2.1% and 4.5% respectively by 2018. Let's now discuss about the supply and demand factors. Now, though we know there were certain setbacks, India still possesses favorable supply and demand factors that can propel into the front lines of technology. Now, the number of persons enrolled for tertiary education in India is about 35.2 million in 2019, is ahead of the corresponding numbers when compared to all other countries except China. Further, graduates from STEM, what is STEM? Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics programs, as a proportion of all graduates was 32.2% for India in 2019, which was one of the highest among all countries as per UNESCO data. Now, no doubt that India needs to sharply increase its public spending to improve the quality of and access to higher education. India will soon have twice the number of internet users as in the US, which is known as a large market for all kinds of new technologies. Now, while this presents a huge opportunity, the domestic industry has not yet managed to derive the benefits. For instance, the country is operating far below its potential in electronic manufacturing. Electronic goods and components are the second largest item after oil in India's import bill. And India's imports are almost 5 times its export in this industry based on 2020 and 21 data. So, high-value electronic components needed in the manufacture of, say, for example, mobile phones are technology and design intensive. The big multinational companies control these technologies and corner the bulk of revenues. Now, China has used its large market size as a bargaining chip in negotiations with foreign firms, and they stay in the markets only if they localize production and share technologies with the local firms. Meanwhile, there have been aggressive efforts to enhance China's own technological strengths through its research institutions and SOEs. Next comes the role of Make in India initiative. Most of you might be knowing about Make in India initiative. Before Make in India initiative, I would like to add on one particular bill, Amendment Bill of 2020, which is something related to IT laws. The Indian Institutes of Information Technology Laws, Amendment Bill 2020. But the ministry ruling this is or governing this is Human Resource Development. Some people might think about MIT, but it will go wrong. It's Human Resource Development. So, what is this bill all about? The Indian Institutes of Information Technology Laws or Amendment Bill 2020 was introduced in Lok Sabha by the Minister of Human Resource Development, Mr. Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank on March 4, 2020. The bill amends Indian Institutes of Information Technology Act 2014 and the Indian Institutes of Information Technology Public-Private Partnership Act 2017. So, the Indian Institutes of Information Technology Public-Private Partnership Act 2017 declares certain Indian Institutes of Information Technology established under Public-Private Partnership mode as institutions of national importance. Under this Act, 15 institutes are currently incorporated as institutions of national importance. So, the bill seeks to declare 5 Indian Institutes of IITs, that is Information Technologies, set up under the Public-Private Partnership mode in Surat, Bhopal, Bhagalpur, Agartala and Raichur as institutions of national importance. Currently, these institutes are registered as societies under the Societies Registration Act 1860 and they do not have the power to grant degrees or diplomas. On being declared institutions of national importance, the 5 institutes will be granted the power to grant degrees. That is an extra information which I added because it's something related to technology. Okay. Next comes about the discussion of Make in India initiative. What is it all about? Most of you might have read about this particular thing, Make in India initiative. What is this? See, Make in India initiative is an initiative by the Government of India to make and encourage companies to develop, manufacture and assemble products made in India and incentivize dedicated investments into manufacturing. Now, extra points I would like to add on regarding the 4 pillars of Make in India. The 4 pillars of Make in India are new processes, new infrastructure, new sectors and new mindset. Okay, these are the 4 pillars. Then what are the schemes under Make in India? Make in India schemes are Market Promotion and Development Scheme, MPDA, revamped scheme of fund for regeneration of traditional industries, that is FRUTI, SFURTI, Choir Vikas Yojana, CVY, Export Market Promotion, EMP. All these are the schemes which come under Make in India. Okay, so that was some information extra which I added on because in today's editorial they are mentioning about all these things regarding Make in India. Okay, then we have to discuss, is Make in India successful in India? About that also we have to discuss. See, the program has been successful, which offers several advantages. Like there has been significant growth in FDI or foreign direct investment after the launch of this program. The total FDI inflow was approximately USD 222.89 billion between April 2014 and March 2018. Then next I would like to tell what is the aim of Make in India. See, Make in India was launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on September 25, 2014 at Vigyan Bhavan, New Delhi. The main aim of this initiative is to make India a global manufacturing hub by encouraging both multinational as well as domestic companies to manufacture their products within the country. Okay, so that is regarding some extra information on Make in India. Now I would like to discuss the role of Make in India mentioned in today's article. The Make in India initiative will have to go beyond increasing the ease of business for private industry. Indian industry needs to deepen and broaden its technological capabilities. This will happen only if universities and public institutions in the country are strengthened and emboldened to enter areas of technology development for which the private sector may have neither the resources nor the patience. Now, when we go back to the last 3 decades, PSUs in India have been judged mainly on the short-term fiscal benefits they bring. Instead, they should be valued for the potential long-term contributions to economic growth, the technologies they can create, and the strategic and knowledge assets they can build. So, a strengthened public sector will create more opportunities for private businesses and widen the entrepreneurial base. Small and medium entrepreneurs will flourish when there are mechanisms for the diffusion of publicly created technologies along with greater availability of bank credit and other forms of assistance. So, that's all for today regarding this particular article's topic. Next, we will be discussing about the part 2 session of today's current affairs, which you have to wait till some more time. It will be uploaded shortly. Thanks for watching my editorial sessions. Stay tuned like this. Then if you have not subscribed my channel, make it a point to subscribe it. Stay safe, take care and bye.